Hey y'all, we are back. It's been a while since I've done a live, so I thought that I would hop on here because a lot is going on right now. I know it normally takes people a minute to jump on, so I'm going to save the Kohberger case for a second. Let me see. The first case I want to talk about tonight is the case of Adnan Syed. And if you don't know about this case, I did a really brief overview about the case a few videos back. I haven't done a deep dive into it because most people followed this case and know all of the details. But for those who don't, we're going to kind of go over what's happened in this case because this is something that I've never seen happen before and it's absolutely crazy. So we're going to go over that first because it's a little bit shorter than the Kohberger part. So I'm going to pull up the video you just saw was from his motion to vacate. That was after the hearing where they vacated his conviction. So they wiped it out. He was added to the list of exonerees. It was over. He'd been in prison since he was 17 years old for the death of his girlfriend, Heyman Lee. And I just am going to go over a few high points just to explain how we got to that point because it's going to tie in to what's going on in the Kohberger case as well, which is crazy. But we're going to talk about that and what everything means. So the state of Maryland is actually the people who filed the motion to vacate his sentence, which it never happens. The state never wants to admit that they made mistakes or done anything wrong. So they actually filed this. And they filed it based on Brady violations. A Brady violation is basically if there's evidence that could make a difference in the outcome of, in this case, his trial, that were held from the defense, then that's a Brady violation. And it will explain, it says here, Brady violations and new information concerning the possible involvement of two alternate suspects. So here, I'll leave the links to these documents as well in the description when this is over if you want to go through and read the whole thing because it's really interesting. But this is just discussing how there was DNA tests done prior to 2018, but in 2018 they came through and tested additional DNA when he was trying to get his conviction overturned at that point. And in 2022 they actually came through and tested even more DNA. So all this time he's been sitting in prison and there's been untested DNA this entire time. And nothing was really found as far as DNA results. A lot of the evidence was old. There wasn't a lot that they could pull from it, but they weren't able to tie him to anything related to the scene. If you're interested in knowing more about the case, I just highlighted these because these are really good, like, take you through the facts, learn the whole backstory, because I'm telling you, it is one of the craziest cases. And if I did videos on it, it would literally, I would have to do like a 6-part series is how crazy it is. So in 2021 to 2022, the Baltimore prosecutor's office was doing, they were re-looking at child offenders. So since he was 17 when he was convicted of this murder, he was sentenced to life plus 30 years. They went back and looked at his case and they realized that there were 2 additional suspects who had been cleared that shouldn't have been cleared. Here they specify the Brady violation. It was reported to the state one of the suspects had threatened to kill the victim and provided motives for that threat. But that information was never provided to the defense. Sorry, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat while I'm going through these. It just states the suspect said he would make Heyman Lee disappear, he would kill her. They found a separate document in the trial file, which a different person relayed information as far as a motive is concerned, and his attorney was not made aware of that. So they kind of specify, if you are trying to get a conviction overturned on a Brady violation, you have to prove that the prosecution didn't turn the evidence over to the defense, that it would have made a difference as far as the outcome of the trial, and that it was material to the issue of guilt or innocence. So, we're still... And then they found new evidence that the location of her car was located behind the house of one of the two new alternate suspects. And they did some background investigating and realized that their family member owned the house. They lived there when this crime occurred in 1999. One of the suspects has been charged with attacking a woman in her vehicle, which is how Heyman Lee was attacked. One was charged with sexual assault, and one was engaged in violence against women. So there, with the alternate suspects, there's a pattern. But as far as Adnan goes, I mean, he was a 17-year-old kid getting ready to graduate and go to med school. So this just talks about the suspect was improperly cleared. We're kind of just going through the Brady because there's, well, we'll go over it in a minute, as far as the Brady violation in the Kohberger case. Let's see. And this case is also based on a lot of cell phone evidence. And it happens to be AT&T. It was back in 99, so a lot of things have changed. But I found this very interesting because we know Bryan Kohberger has AT&T, and we know they are really relying on the cell phone records as far as the affidavit of probable cause goes. In Adnan's case, they relied on billing location information, which is cell phone records, to account for his phone and his location the day of the murders. And there was a fax cover sheet on the front of these records when the state received them, saying that incoming calls are not accurate as far as location goes. But the state took the cover sheet off before presenting the evidence to the defense, and they presented incoming calls as proof of his location when that can't be true. And that's one thing. Hi, everyone that's watching. That's one thing that I think is huge in the Kohberger case as well. What type of means did they go to pinpoint these locations that they claim for him to be at? Because we see here that cell phone records are used incorrectly all the time. I think so. They had a hearing on all of this, and it was found that his conviction should be overturned. So the video that I just played you all while I was talking earlier was him leaving the courthouse that day. The judge had them remove his shackles at that second, and he walked out of the courthouse with his family. Now, why are we talking about this now? Because it's over. He's back. He's living his life. He's working with innocence programs for Georgetown University, I believe it is. You know, this is what everybody was waiting for. But, sorry, I didn't know my head was cut off. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat, too. Heyman Lee's brother, Young Lee, filed an appeal with the Appeals Court of Maryland. And he filed this appeal based on, he's stating here that they didn't give him adequate notice of the hearing so that he could attend. and that the motion to vacate the hearing should take place again, basically. It should, I should say, that he did appear via Zoom. And we know because of the pandemic that a lot of places, even the law firm I work for, still attend hearings via Zoom. So the fact that he was there, he was able to make a statement, all of that. But he still wants the conviction reinstated because he wasn't there in person. So the trial court judge actually denied his motion as far as keeping Adnan in prison until he could be present at the hearing. And the appellate court ruled that they would vacate the judgment of the circuit court and remand for further proceedings. So as of yesterday, Adnan Syed has his charges back. He's now a convicted felon again after being exonerated of these charges. And they're going to hold the hearing to have his charges dropped all over again. And this has never happened before. Like, this is unprecedented, and it's scary. The fact that they can imprison you for so many years of your life, basically say you're innocent, let you go free, and then say, oh, sorry, we're going to reinstate your charges, which is insane. And the brother stated in here that he got only a 1 business day notice before the hearing, but the judge actually took a recess because he wasn't on the Zoom call. She took a recess to allow him to get home from work and join the Zoom call, and then they had the hearing so that he was attending via Zoom. I will say, those who know the case are familiar with Rabia, and she did a live today, and she actually said that both sides were made aware a week prior to the date. This is all of her information. I can't validate it, but she is an attorney and she works very close with this case. And she also stated that in 23 years, Heyman Lee's family has never shown up to a court date at all, ever. So she finds it strange that, he's making this big deal about it. Basically, they don't want to accept the fact that the state charged the wrong person. They want him in prison, whether they kind of have blinders on. If you've been told for 23 years that this is the person that killed your daughter, I can see how you would be upset if that person was released. So, as of yesterday, his charges were reinstated, and we went over all that just because I think it's crazy. I know a lot of people follow the case, and because of something that we'll go over in the Kohberger case in just a second. So let's jump over, because I know we missed a lot, and I know I'm not going to go through like these crazy amounts of court documents like some channels do. We're just going to hit the high points because a lot has happened since our last live about Kohberger, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to give their opinion, state their piece, ask questions, whatever it may be. So on January 3rd, the search warrant results, what came back from the search warrant, was filed. So in the state of Washington, they went to his apartment, and this is what they filed as a result of the search warrant on his apartment at Pullman University, where they found a nitrite type black glove, a Walmart receipt with a Dickies tag, 2 Marshall's receipts, a dust container from his vacuum, 8 possible hair strands, a Fire TV stick with cord and plug, 1 possible animal hair strand. We have 4 separate possible hair strands, a computer tower, a collection of a dark red spot collected without testing, 2 cuttings from an uncased pillow of a reddish brown stain, and 2 top and bottom mattresses covered packet. They packaged them separately, both labeled C with multiple stains. One is tested, but they don't give us any more information. I've seen a lot of people speculate, why would he have mattress covers packaged, but they do that when they collect them. And honestly, I thought this search warrant was very lacking. I mean, there's nothing in there that you can't find in my house or yours, basically. So I didn't think that this was a big win for the state. But we're gonna quickly go through what they found at his, well, this is actually what was on his person when he was arrested at his parents' house in Pennsylvania. So on his person, when they booked him in the jail, they had a silver flashlight, 4 medical style gloves, a large t-shirt, black sweatshirt, size 13 Nike shoes, pair of Under Armour socks, large shorts, boxers, and then they took a swab to test DNA. Now, everybody's like, oh my God, he had gloves in his pocket, but I've heard from so many sources that he was a germaphobe. So if he was, then this may not be out of the ordinary for him. I mean, so far, I think that the search warrants are severely lacking, but let's go through what they found in his car. They said they found swabs, a Ziploc bag with a pink zipper. Now, I've seen a lot of people speculate, oh, it's a pink zipper, so it must be one of the girls. It's a Ziploc bag. The little zippers are different colors based on the size of the bag, so we'll put that to rest. They found some change, plastic bag with a green zipper, receipts, car insurance, car registration, hiking boots, comfort inn room key holder, which he probably stayed at a hotel at some point driving back with his dad, tire irons, a shovel. Now, I have seen a lot of people who live in that area say that it's not out of the ordinary to carry a snow shovel during the winters, especially if you're driving cross country. I don't live anywhere where it snows enough to need a snow shovel, but I'm just taking their word on that one. Goggles, floor mats, reflective vests, water bottles, a wrench, they took out the door panel, the seats, the seat cushions, headrest, seat belts, visor, fibers, brake pedal, gas pedal, phone charger, Band-Aid, wrappers, maps, documents, seatbelt boot. Like, that's, again, everything that you could find in any of our cars. So I don't know where they're going with this. I'm still in the camp of he didn't do this, and even more so after what was filed yesterday, which we'll get into in just a second. So I wanted to talk, let me see, for a minute about the whole Xana Kernodle's mom coming out and saying that there was a conflict in the case and they had a whole hearing on it, saying that Ann Taylor, his defense attorney, had represented Xana's mom in a previous court case. So they had a hearing based on conflict of interest, and this was a big deal in the media. Once again, I try to go over things that people make huge deals out of. So this is just like a written version of what happened in that court hearing. So they held it based on any potential conflict, and she basically told them that because she's the head public defender, that she's on all the letterhead for the public defender's office, even if she's not the attorney of record for that individual. And she stated that there was an open case for Xana Kernodle's mom, and she wasn't assigned to that case. And they actually conflicted it out since now the Kohberger case had happened. But in 2017, She stated the public defender who represented Miss Kernodle had left the public defender's office, and once someone leaves, they transfer any pending cases from that individual to the head of the office so that they can withdraw as counsel. And she said that Xana's mom's case was assigned to her from October 20th, and then from that date until it was officially withdrawn through court documents, she never had contact with Xana's mom at all and never had met her or provided legal advice. So, and they basically asked Bryan whether he felt comfortable with her being his attorney. He said yes. There was no conflict found, so we can put that to rest, because I know a lot of people have been wearing that point out. So, this is what was filed yesterday. This is a notice of Brady disclosure and request for a protective order. Now, if you didn't see the very beginning of this video where we talked about it in the Adnan Syed case, his conviction was overturned based on Brady violations, which meant in his case there was evidence withheld from the defense that could have changed the outcome of the trial itself. So basically the state is saying that they give notice to the court and counsel that the state has become aware of a potential Brady material related to one of the officers involved in the case, and that there is a confidential internal affairs investigation that they submitted to the court. In camera does not mean it's on video. I saw someone say that today. It's not what that means. It means it was submitted to the court in private. They're asking for a protective order so that it's not released to the public, the details behind this investigation that they're doing. So, I've seen some people speculate that maybe it wasn't it wasn't a violation in this case per se, but in case you don't know Ann Taylor's background, it's important because she actually had a murder conviction overturned because of a violation by a police officer in Idaho. There was a misconduct violation and she had a murder conviction overturned. So I think that they're being very careful to make sure they disclose everything so that the case doesn't get thrown out on a what's the word I'm thinking of? Technicality. But the fact that there is an investigation ongoing with one of the officers, and they do state involved in this case. So if it was an officer that signed an affidavit, that would possibly have to be thrown out. If it was an officer that collected evidence, then that evidence, the validity of it would come into question. It could mean a whole lot of things, and it could be unrelated. He could have just been found doing something not okay, and he just happened to work on the case. I mean, we won't know until more information comes out. I just found it interesting that this was filed because this is not a normal filing as far as cases like this go. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to hear more about as far as the Adnan Syed case goes. If you have any questions, if you want me to kind of go over the Kohberger documents in more detail as they come out. I've been trying to jump on here more often, but I've been failing at that. Between school and work and trying to do YouTube, it's hard. But yeah, just let me know how you prefer things, whether you want me to talk about other cases. I thought about doing kind of like daily lives when trials are going on. I didn't do it for the Murdaugh trial because there was so many lives for that. Let me know if you watched that trial, because I have thoughts on that too. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but if enough people have thoughts on it, then we may do a future video on it. But I just wanted to hop on here. I wanted to go over these couple documents that were new since we last did a live. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, I just thought about this. Angel Bumpass actually had a court hearing today, a status hearing as far as her new trial goes. She is still out on bond. She will get a new trial very soon. I don't know if they've confirmed a date. I know with my last video they had confirmed a date, but it got pushed back again, which is fine by me at this point as long as she stays out on bond. But I will be following that one closely, and I will do daily updates on that one because that case has gotten a lot of attention. So I'll make sure to do that. Leave any comments down below, any cases you want me to cover, anything else with these cases that we're already covering that you want me to talk about, and I will try to go live maybe next week. Depends on what unfolds with all these cases. So thank you for being here.